I'm going to try to speed through this because I'm sure you guys have already taken a look at several different PSVR 2 reviews that go over everything in great detail. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of my experience with it, what I think, and if I think it's worth the $600 or $650 that I spent on it. First things first, the unboxing experience. Kind of no frills there. Headset comes out. It's very lightweight, first impression. Feels, I don't want to go as far as to say flimsy, but it definitely does not feel like a robust headset. Now, the catch-22 to that is, if it was a big, bulky, heavy headset, it might feel robust, but then it's also going to be less comfortable. So there's something to keep in mind. I think that they probably did the right thing here by using lightweight materials and maybe sacrificing a little bit of the longevity of it or the durability of it. But what I can tell you they didn't skip out on is the quality of the new display. You have a 4K HDR OLED display inside this headset, and it looks incredible. One of the things that's always bothered me the most in VR is the screen door effect. It drives me absolutely nuts. I can tell you that although it is not gone on here, it is absolutely very minimal and far less distracting than it's ever been for me personally. The high dynamic range on this new panel looks fantastic. You're definitely able to get a much darker portion of the scene without it just looking gray. It's much better. The field of view is great. And one thing that's really important to mention, glasses. If you wear these things and you need to have them on when you're inside there, be prepared for light leakage. It doesn't form around the glasses very well. I think something like a memory foam tends to work a little bit better because it can sort of form itself around the edge of the glasses here. Whereas this, there's just a little cutout that allows some room for that to come through. But that also allows light inside the headset, especially if you have light coming in from behind you and then reflecting on your lenses. It can be very distracting. Another thing to keep in mind is that although they have widened the field of view, with the PlayStation headset itself, you have the front section which is movable. It helps to accommodate if you have a big schnoz like I do, but it also helps to make room for glasses if you have to wear those. Depending on the shape and size of those glasses, you might find yourself losing quite a bit of that field of view. And of course, that's not Sony's fault. They have done stuff to make accommodations for folks that wear glasses, but it's always going to be a disappointment in my mind that I have to wear these. Not their fault. Go get LASIK, I suppose. Now, with regard to the gaming experience itself, this is without a doubt the best VR experience I've had. It's the most comfortable. It's the best looking, it has the best dynamic range, it has the best resolution that I've experienced, and so far, come on, a first-party Sony game in VR with Horizon, Call of the Mountain. It's amazing. I don't know if any of you out there watching this have played the Horizon games, but if you have, you know they're fantastic. And to be transported inside of that world and to see some of those robotic creatures right next to you is mind-blowing. It kind of brings me back to how I felt when I played Half-Life Alyx on my PC VR headset. It was amazing. I'd never experienced anything like it, and I think this is only the second time that I've felt that much shock and awe based on what I was looking at and what I was experiencing around me. It's really that good. A couple other things that I've messed around with was the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. No, that's the name of the ride. Whatever the Star Wars game is. I have that on the Quest 2. It's a really cool game. The PSVR 2 version of that game is a substantial upgrade, especially, wait for it, especially with these guys right here. The adaptive triggers in a game like Star Wars Galaxy Edge, or whatever it's called, when you pull that trigger on your blaster pistol and you feel that resistance and then that break point when the trigger kind of finally pulls, just like a real weapon would, it feels incredible. The haptics are great. They did a phenomenal job with that. That absolutely crushes the Quest version, hands down. So, although some of the games in this library have been adapted for PSVR 2, in the case of Star Wars, it's not just a little adaptation or a little upgrade. To me, it seemed night and day. It was a whole new experience. There was a couple of other little demos that I tried out, but they're really not worth talking about. They're just kind of corny, little goofy things that Sony's just trying to populate that library with. The final thing that was AAA that I experienced was Gran Turismo 7. Now, I also have my Logitech G90 race wheel, which helps to really bring that whole VR driving simulator experience all together. That was fantastic. The only problem, and this is just related to me, is that I never spent much time with Gran Turismo 7 when it first dropped. So I didn't open up a lot of great cars. My garage is pretty pitiful, basically. I'm still at the beginning steps of the game. So my experience in VR with that was in a really slow, boring car on a track that I wasn't super excited about. But even with that being said, it was by far visually the best VR racing experience I've ever had. And I was playing on a pretty high-end PC, Project Cars 3, Dirt Rally, games like that looked really good, that played really well, and that I had actually moved through enough to have opened up great cars. And so I know what a good PC racing sim VR, that's a mouthful, experience is like. If you have a packed garage of awesome cars in your Gran Turismo 7, you're going to have a blast with this. It looks amazing, and especially if you can top that off with a racing wheel of any kind, it's going to really pull that package together, and you will finally have the full realization of just how good Gran Turismo is. That wraps up my gaming experience. Aside from that, I really think that there's a ton of potential for this thing, especially when you think about first-party games that these guys could drop. I mean, think about it. A God of War game, a Uncharted game, maybe they adapt Last of Us into VR. These are things that would be mind-blowing, and they could just bang them out left and right. They might be working on them, who knows? If that was the case, this is a no-brainer. You need to have it. If you have a PS5 and you love those games as much as I do, and if there's even a hint that those things are going to get adapted over to this, it's a wrap. Those are my final thoughts. I thank you so much for being here with me. As usual, do me a favor, subscribe. Maybe hit that like button if you want to. No pressure, okay? Thanks for being here with me once again. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.